are back. One of the most widely read shareholder letters on both Wall Street and Main Street just came out. It is headlined, "Time to Rethink Retirement." Okay, that's a nice headline, but when you go into it, Larry Fink outlines not just how to rethink it, but to take action, and that includes looping in the capital markets. Back now with BlackRock's Larry Fink. Listen, this is a national priority, at least it should be, or it becomes a national crisis, you say?
Well, I think it's a global priority because leaders in every country, whether it's a developed country or a developing country, are focusing on how do we prepare our citizens, and more importantly, in the countries that have small but growing capital markets, they see the power of the U.S. capital markets. They see the power of our capitalism, and they are trying to develop a retirement system that will then fund their capital markets and grow their capital markets.
Let's just explain, though, when you talk about capital markets, compounded since the S&P was created, 1957, it has returned annualized returns of 10.26% every. I mean, that's amazing. So is that what you are saying has to be done now?
We need to be focusing on the long term. That's why
but from a granular standpoint, just from a company standpoint, because we work for companies and that's how we save for retirements. How do they do it? I mean, are you saying ditching the 401k?
No.
And going for a defined benefit? I mean, should we go back there?
No, by no means. First of all, I don't have any policy suggestions. What I'm suggesting is we need to have a conversation. As I said earlier, I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist because we solve problems. We read papers, we watch news, and it's generally filled with negativity. And it scares us. And the whole issue of hope and fear, there's more fear in the world than
I saw something on CNBC that had a very astute guy trying to talk the moderator out of fear and loathing on, for the future.
Into fear and loathing.
Or out of it. He was trying to talk you into it.
I believe there's more opportunity for hope, and I believe there's more opportunities in the future. But if we don't start talking about rethinking retirement, rethinking how we should think about retirement plans.
Well, you've got a plan called Life Path Paycheck.
Yeah.
Now, talk about this. Explain what it is. This is iShares as well.
It is for a 401k or the defined contribution plans. A 401k plan, when you retire, generally you get a 100% of your savings in a lump sum, and you reinvest that lump sum. But most people don't even know what to do with it, and people are frightened about are they going to outlive their savings?
And they might.
And they may, but the more you invest during your working age, the sooner you put some money away during your working age, getting back to your S&P compounding, the higher probability you're going to have a pool of assets, pool of money, that you're going to be able to live with dignity and hope during your retirement age. What Life Path Paycheck is using the same formula of this target date plan where the early years you have majority of your 401k or in equities.
Well, you said 99%.
And then over time, it goes more into fixed income.
It's like a 529 college savings plan.
Exactly. So it narrows and narrows the risk. But what we do, we add an annuity to the back end, whereby we could then define to you how much is your monthly paycheck. So it's like translating what a defined benefit plan was.
I almost feel like putting the BlackRock logo, 1-800-BlackRock on the bottom. Is this like an advertisement for BlackRock?
Well, are you talking your book? I mean, and no fees, right? Did I see that correctly?
There's no wrap fee by the insurance companies in Life Path Paycheck.
Let me ask you another question about this, because this caught me in your letter. It's in the letter. It's not about retirement. It's about energy. I mean, you basically say there could be the fact that we're Bitcoin mining like crazy. We have all these energy needs. You suggested the light could go out if we don't figure out energy infrastructure. My question to you is, which I really do agree with, but here's where I didn't see in your letter, why don't you just say we need some nuclear power?
Well, that's one of the answers.
So would you be in favor of more nuclear power?
Small nuclear reactors, absolutely, but that's one of many solutions. We have we need to be upgrading our infrastructure. Most countries need to build their technology and their infrastructure. If you think about the macro trends are, and I talk about that, is deficits are becoming very cumbersome. Governments are going to need to rethink how they finance infrastructure. There's huge pools of money in the private hands, so we need to be, in most countries, they privatized airports. And the performance of most airports outside the United States are stronger than they are here.
But Larry, we've waited for the government to do that, and unless you're going to be Treasury Secretary, which you've said no, we need to take that piece out of it, because Social Security is going to run out of money in a decade,
We need to rethink Social Security and how we are going to fund that. And there are many...
But what can people do today? Because, look, LifePath is an option. Right now, it comes out in April, as I understand it goes live. But if you talk about compounding, you look at IVV, which is the S&P iShares, or even SPY. I mean, IVV started in 2000. You can see how well it has compounded. I think we have the charts. And then you see, I think the SPY started a couple of years earlier, and it's, I mean, that compounding is unbelievable.
But is it that difficult to figure this out?
No, but we need
that's
to
the
be...
whole thing.
Look, we spend so much time on health, as I spoke about it earlier. We spend not enough time on financial literacy. We need to have more people understand what you're talking about, this whole notion of compounding. We need to have a conversation not about if the markets are going up and down in any one period of time. We need to have the concept
good luck with that. It wouldn't be business news.
But we need to be talking about the whole issue that, Liz, you talked about, the compounding over years and years and years.
Meaning start early.
Start early. And whatever you can save. And for some people, saving is a real difficult time. So we have 57 million Americans right now that do not have any retirement. And so
57%.
57 million.
Oh, million rather.
Million.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like
so there's a lot of people. So, but for those who are part of a corporation and have a 401k plan and a defined contribution plan, the whole concept of focusing on the compounding, believing in having hope that the future is better than today. And that has been my whole notion, that we as human beings, we solve solutions, we make things better over time. And that's why I'm a firm believer. I think in 2012, somebody asked me, it might have been you, Charlie, asked me, what would be your allocation in equities? I said, for me, 100%.
Yeah. But you're no longer at 100%, obviously.
Pardon me?
You're no longer 100%.
I am.
So that's a headline.
No, it's not.
Larry Fink is 100% now at, how old are you, 70?
71.
That's amazing. By the way, we got to end it there. But I want to end it on the notion that Larry Fink is 100% in equities at 71. That takes cojones.
I'm a believer in our country, and I'm a believer in our capitalism. And I believe that in 10 years, we're going to look back and say, these were good 10 years.
All right, we got to end it.
Green bananas, green pineapples. Larry's a great option.
By the way,
thank you.
Oliver Stone wants to sit down with you and teach you about the good things about nuclear power.
I'm a bull on it. Let's get the permitting done.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Our thanks to Larry. Thank you very much.